Hi, everyone, and welcome to number 13 of Snowed. The Michael Snow is a fraud story. I'm Shelley, and if you haven't been watching, go start watching from episode 1, where I talk about why I'm doing this and what you're going to hear. Episode 13, I've been telling you women are coming out of the woodwork every day. I need to show you something. Now, this was posted just today, and I'm not going to tell you who it is because she does not need her name splashed all over. But she said, "I know this Michael Snow. So glad I dodged a bullet. I took a ride date with him in his truck shipping cattle. Overall, he was nice, not intimidating. Asks me to buy him a bottle of whiskey. Said he'd pay me back. Wasn't expecting him to, and he never did, of course, which doesn't surprise me in the least. Left me sitting in the garage, his shop that I showed you previously, with the truck in Moose Jaw for hours. I wasn't scared, but totally felt I should leave, but I had no way to. He eventually drove me back to Saskatoon the next day. I never heard from him after that. Lucky me, I guess. I wasn't into him at all, so glad I didn't pursue anything with him." This is the kind of piece of shit he is. So he left this woman sitting in the truck while he came home to me. Yeah. Anyways, I just had to read you that because like I've said, literally, there are women that are coming out of the woodwork every day and reaching out to me. If Mr. Snow happens to be watching this, which I'm pretty much 1,001% sure he is, and you figure out who that was, because I'm sure you know, don't you dare reach out to her. Don't you dare. So now I've brought my story up to about July, August, say, of 2020. Mr. Snow was hauling cattle, and it was COVID. And he came home one day and he said, "Hey, I was pumping gas, filling the truck and with diesel. And, while I was standing at the island there, I started chatting with some farmer guy that was filling his truck as well. And we were just shooting the shit. And he owns land out in Whitewood. And he said I could hunt out there." I said, "Oh, well, that's how nice." And, Mr. Snow said, "Yeah, it'll be really good. Not as far as when I was hunting on Hutterite land. So it'll be really good." So he took his stuff out and went to set up his tree stand and all those things that hunters set up. I don't know. I don't hunt. Anyways, and he did tell me that, the guy wasn't home, but he had to, he spoke to the farmer's wife, and she, he told her that her husband had allowed him to hunt on the land. Well, the farmer's wife said, "You know what? We're going through a terrible divorce. This man doesn't actually live here." So, Mike came home and told me that. I said, "Oh, okay." And then pretty soon, because he had to let this woman know, and he called her the farmer's wife, he had to let her know that he was on the land. So, they formed a friendship. And, he'd say, "Oh, it's Cindy again." Yes, her name is Cindy. "It's Cindy again." And, I don't know, she just always wants something from me. But, I have to be nice to her because she's letting me hunt on that land. And, pretty soon it became my friend Cindy. My friend Cindy. Now, I want you to know, he made jokes at this woman's expense. Like, he would say to me, "Oh my God, she's just a fat, ugly pig. Like, it's no wonder her husband left her. And she doesn't shut up. Like, she just goes on and on and on. And, I can hardly stand it. And she's constantly texting me. And, she's just awful. But, I have to be nice to her. She's letting me hunt." I do know now that he actually met Cindy on POF, a dating site. And yeah, they were dating. And this woman, she's not one of the women I've spoken to because she's still a Mr. Snow supporter. And believe it or not, there are women out there who still buy his bullshit. So if I say their name, I haven't spoken to them. So anyways, I do know now, all those times that, poor Cindy, he was taking her on trips in the truck as well. They went on other trips that I know of now, together. Yeah, and I do know, and I will tell you that when I forcibly removed him from my house, she is the first place he went to. And she did support him for a few weeks before he moved on to another woman. But yes, they are still in cahoots. So, Cindy, if you're watching this, enjoy. He's all yours. Now, some of you are wondering how did he step out at night? Like, where was he? Where did I think he was when he was going on dates? Because to me, all he did was sit on the couch and drink, to be quite frank, and sleep. I felt like this man slept his life away. So, anyways, here's one of the really great lies that I've now figured out. He would get all showered and dressed and, smell pretty and shaved. And he'd say to me, he's going to the Hells Angels clubhouse for the evening. He met some guys from riding the bike or he knew like some of the Hells Angels because, that's how he rolls. And they knew who he was. His uncle was a big Hells Angel and he knew Hells Angels in Ontario. So, he was going to spend some time at the clubhouse. And, in fact, what he was doing was going on dates. There was no clubhouse. He wasn't at the clubhouse. So any of you know any Hells Angels out there? Show them the story. So at any rate, he also would tell me that he couldn't text me or use his phone in the clubhouse because it was prohibited. You weren't allowed to actually use your phone in the clubhouse. Now, I don't know. This is not my lifestyle. I don't have no idea. I believed him. So at any rate, I have now figured out that if he spent the night with his date, he would let me know that he drank too much and he was just going to crash on the couch in the clubhouse and he'd be home the next day. And apparently, I guess if the date didn't go well and he wasn't actually spending the night with his date, he'd come home and say he didn't drink. So, great guy. I'm going to give you another little quick rundown on Mr. Snow's lies. One day he was selling something when I was forcing him to sell some of his stuff out of his shop. And we were also on our way to someplace. So we drove up to the shop. I waited in the car and I could see this young fellow walk into the shop and they were in there for a very long time. And then the guy comes out and off, he goes and Mike comes out and he said, "Oh man, that kid needs a friend." And I was like, "Oh, really? Well, oh, how nice." And Mike was chit-chatting and, he seems like he really needs a friend. I think he's got some marriage problems and, blah, blah, blah. So wouldn't you know it, a few days later, this guy texts Mike and says, "Hey, why don't you come for a beer?" So Mike said, "Hey, remember that guy? I'm going to go over to his house for a beer. He just lives in our area." "Oh, how nice. Well, great. You're making friends here. That's good." Yeah. So he spent a lot of time at, I don't know, let's call him Jason. He likes to use that name. He spent a lot of time at Jason's house, a lot of time having beers. He even told me about his wife, and she's musical. And, they had young kids. And he even actually went so far as to say to me, like, "You know what, they don't have a lot of money. Could I have some of your quilts that I could give them to their kids as gifts? Like, they've been so good to me." Tugged at my heartstrings. Of course, this family should have some quilts. So he chose some quilts for this family. So it turns out there was no husband. And I know this is not going to come as any surprise to you at this point. There was no husband. I've spoken to the woman. There was never a husband. They were dating. And there's more to this story. However, I have spoken to her and she has young kids and a career. And I am not going to expose or say anything more that people might know who she is. So at any rate, in my own neighborhood, and she told me they went on dates, they went out, he took her out. He could have ran into any one of my friends. He really liked that gambling effect. I think it was a crapshoot for him. Stay tuned for 14.